Hey, what's happening? It's Eric J. Olson, and today we are going live for another recording for the Journey to $100 Million podcast. So this is a daily podcast where we talk about all of the things that we're learning as we grow our digital marketing agency into a $100 million per year national powerhouse. But we have a long ways to go, and it's not the easiest thing in the world. We make a lot of mistakes, frankly. There's a lot of lessons learned. And the whole point of the podcast is to share that with anyone else who is either thinking about starting a business or has already started and wants to grow their business. So we like to share everything that we're learning here, which is why we have the podcast. But we're not the only ones that are learning things along the way. There are other entrepreneurs, obviously, out there in the world. And so we like to bring them on every once in a while, do these live broadcasts and ask them questions to get to understand their businesses and understand what they're doing that maybe, frankly, we could learn from. So today I have with us Yuko out of Newport Beach. Hey there. How's it going?
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Eric.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Well, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So I'm a Japanese. So I was born and raised in Japan and came to the United States for my undergrad and worked for Big Four accounting firm for a few years. And after that, I started my first CPA firm and exited out about 5 years ago and took a year and a half off and went back to MBA in Spain and did some philanthropy work in South Africa and Cambodia and came back about 3.5 years ago to United States and started this company called Hito LLC. What we do is we help company reduce taxes and increase cash utilizing tax code. So we specifically does tax credit, tax incentive works.
All right. So there's a lot to unpack there. So you've traveled internationally quite a bit.
I love traveling.
But you came back to the United States. So I appreciate that. That's awesome. All right. So you had your own CPA firm for a while. You took 1.5 years off after you exited that, and now you're starting a new company. Let's kind of back up a little bit, maybe to the very beginning. So the beginning, kind of the entrepreneurial journey, if you will. What made you want to start that first business? And then did you start it by yourself, or did you actually start it with the partners, or how did that kind of evolve?
Yeah, so my parents were an entrepreneur. They always had construction business. So whenever I went into business, I had a mindset of someday I want to own my own business. But as I was working for a Big Four accounting firm, I was very comfortable. I was working tons, and I wanted to become partner at a Big Four accounting firm. But unfortunately, it didn't happen about 3 years in. My mother got sick back in Japan, and because of the culture we were in, they couldn't accommodate me going back every month to see my mother while she was in a cancer treatment. So I said to myself, I wanted to create accounting firm, a professional firm where professional can come and work and also have life outside of work. So that was beginning of my entrepreneur journey. And at the time, I was engaged to same fellow from KPMG. So we decided to start a company together.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was you and your fiance started a business. You ran that for how long did you run that for?
So we ran that for 8 years, and he's an ex-fiance, not my current husband or anything like that. So
okay, all right. So that I'm guessing he became your ex-fiance less than 8 years after you started the business.
Yeah. Shortly after, both of us are workaholic, and as a romantic partner, we just didn't make sense. We are always working together, always talking about work, and we were we were really good business partner together.
That's just good. Certainly working with family is difficult, and fiance is about as close as you could get before become family. I've been in a family-run business twice now, and it's a challenge, right? And so, Yeah, you have the personal relationship that's going on, and you have a business relationship. You have growth objectives. That's difficult to balance that. Do you think that was kind of like the relationship was kind of a casualty of the business? Is that like something like a lesson learned from all this?
Yeah, would I ever go into business with my significant other? Probably not. So
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, so you did that for 8 years, and then there was a split. It sounded like there was already a relationship split, but then the business split as well. The year and a half that you took off, was that because of like non-compete or something like that?
yeah, I had a non-compete, and I was a partner at the firm, so I couldn't compete in California or like United States. So I just said it's a great way to semi-retire and go to like Spain, where I always wanted to live, and do whatever I wanted to do.
Where in Spain did you go?
Madrid.
Very nice. That's cool. Spain's neat. I lived there for 2 years when I was very young. Neat place.
Oh, whereabouts?
Outside of Toledo.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Do they still do bullfights there? Or
Just a little bit. Like I think it's going down a little bit.
Yeah.
People are more cautious.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was all the rage when I was there. That was a different culture for sure. So, all right, cool. So you take a year off, and I guess you let your non-compete kind of expire, or you satisfied it, and then did you know that you wanted to start a second business? Like when you no? So let's hear about that. When did
Okay,
you start
so
a second business.
whenever I exited my first business, yes, I had no compete, and I wanted to get out from California. But more than that, I wanted to work in nonprofit arena. So when I went to MBA, I decided to go to IE Business School because they had program where I can live in South Africa for 3 months and work with nonprofit organization. So I've done that, and whenever I came back to United States, I was in the process of getting interviewed by United Nations. So I was going through the process of getting deployed to the Syrian Peace Corps as a finance director. So I really wanted to do that, but thinking about, I was probably early 30s and wanted to have a kids and wanted to have family. I just thought about myself, is this really what I wanted? And came to realization, I want to build another firm. And then whenever I have a more financial freedom, time freedom, I can go help people in a different way than get employed by UN or different organization.
Mm-hmm.
And after all, I really love what I did for the last 8 years. So it was great. I enjoy every day. I wake up 4:00 every morning and work till pretty late at night. But this is my passion.
All right. So let me make sure I got this right. The goal of starting this business was, you wanted to have a work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to be able to go do these kinds of different things, as far as the freedom to do those things, have you found that that's how it's worked out?
So helping people in your business is maybe I can tell you a little bit more about what I do, right? I think we are helping people every single day through our work. So what we do is we bring in tax credit, tax incentive where companies are growing or they want to expand to different city or states, or they're innovating within the company. We bring those tax credits in turn, they have more resources to to spend in what they want. But the company oftentimes, or clients we work with, they always put that back into company, and they help employee get to next level. And in turn, that's helping their local communities. So it's a different type of helping now, but I am helping, and this is why I'm passionate about my work, because I can see community and the company and the employees are impacted by what we do. And longer term goal, I would love to have that freedom to go take off to Africa or Cambodia and help underprivileged children.
I gotcha. Okay, so it's the concept is there, but you probably need a little more time before you get. Okay, I got it. No, that's great. We have a couple questions here actually. So from Adam Williams. So the first one just goes back to what we were talking about before. What are the biggest challenges of personal relationships mixed with business?
So for me, I think it's like as a woman, I think in a relationship, I believe that there's a animal instinct, right? So male should be a little bit stronger than woman. Like if that balance, natural balance break, I think relationship breaks. So I'm a very alpha person, and whenever I'm in a business, I'm always talking and checking off the task list. What's the next thing? And I really think that kind of broke our relationship, and we decided it's better to be business partner than romantic partner, because we are losing just intimacy and all sort of stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then a second question from Adam. How important is a work-life balance to mental health?
So I don't say I have a work-life balance, but I'm very good at prioritizing my life. So I work out every single day, and I take time for myself. And once a month, I take off and disconnect from work and world, and it's me time. So I think if you have that, you can work so many hours. I work from 4:30 to 6:30 at night, but I don't stop. And it really excites me, because what I'm doing is what I love to do, and also I'm taking care of myself. And I'm still single and looking for the Prince Charming, but I prioritize that and making sure I do go out on a dates all the time.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Well, cool. Let's talk a little bit about the business that you have now. So you help companies find tax credits. Are these companies in any industry or particular niches?
So any industries, any size of companies too. So what we are looking for, there's so many variety of tax credits. So I can talk about hottest things in 2021, right? So any companies who were impacted by COVID, either shut down or gross revenue, there is a tax credit out there you can take advantage of. So that's one type of tax credits. Second would be if you're developing, improving product or process on technological nature, there's an R&D tax credit company can qualify for. Or a bigger scale, what we do is let's say, Eric, I will ask you what is your expansion or growth plan is next 5 years? And maybe you said we're gonna triple.
That's
and
right.
I'll start asking what are you gonna do? How many people are you envisioning hiring? And from that conversation, I can identify, okay, these states Virginia, where you are, these type of tax credits are available, and we can go negotiate. We can get pre-approval from the states to get those tax credits for you.
That's interesting. All right, so let's. Do you want to do an example?
Sure.
All right, I'll volunteer to be the guinea pig.
Okay.
So, okay. So based on the questions, what are our plans for say the next 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Revenue wise, I would say we're going to triple in the next 5 years, definitely. And employee growth, it probably wouldn't be all in Virginia. We do have a lot of remote workers now, and I anticipate that's going to continue. But I would imagine with the tripling of revenue, we'd probably double our staff. We're currently at about 15. So yeah, about 30 people in 5 years. I think that's a pretty good estimate.
Yeah. And where are many of your like employees located?
So mostly on the East Coast. Actually, I think they're all on the East Coast, but spanning from Chicago down to Florida. So we have the most in Virginia. I would say off the top of my head, the second most are in Florida, and then
Mm-hmm.
just like onesie twosies up and down the East Coast.
Got it. So like for example, like Florida, we need to take a look at where the employees are. But what we will do is like, from that, like, we will look at where you're thinking about hiring those people and then identify like, for example, Florida job tax credit, empowerment, enterprise zone tax credit. And like, if you have like CapEx expenditure, like, how much that's going to be. And that's like, combination of income tax credit, payroll tax credit, and like, some of like, tax exemption.
Interesting. That's really neat because what you're doing is, well, it seems like you're trying to find additional benefit for your clients based on probably their current plans already, at least in this particular scenario, right? You're probably not asking me to like change a strategy or anything like that, or do anything drastically different than I already have planned. But you're based on that information, you're going to go find tax credits. Now, that's cool. Let's talk about tax credits themselves. How are they different from, say, like tax deduction? Is there a difference?
So tax deduction is like, you have sales and you have like tax deduction, and that's taxable income. And then you compute the taxes, right? Tax credit is dollar to dollar deduction or subtraction from the taxes itself. So like tax deduction, on the other hand, like, it's whatever the tax rate, right? You are just reducing the sales, but tax credit, you're reducing dollar to dollar for your taxes.
I gotcha. Okay, so just I guess as a real easy example using round numbers, let's say let's say your taxable income is $50,000, right? And taxes are, again, round numbers, 10%. So if your taxable income is $50,000 and your tax level is 10%, you're going to pay $5,000 in taxes, right?
Right.
All right. Now, if you had a $10,000 deduction, it brings your 50,000 down to 40, and you pay $4,000 on that tax, right? Okay. But if you had a $10,000 tax credit, instead of paying the $5,000 in the original example, it's 5,000 minus 10,000.
Correct.
So you'd end up paying no taxes that year, maybe even get a refund, right? Or it carries over to the next year.
Typically carries over to next year, yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So okay, so tax credits way better than a tax deduction. Okay. Nice. That's cool. Are these from like the federal government or state government, local, a combination of all of them?
Combination of all of them.
That's really neat. And how do you make your fee from that? Do you have like an hourly rate, or do you take a percentage of like the tax credit?
Yeah, we typically do percentage or fixed fee basis based on like, type of project and size of project.
Okay.
So we typically do free analysis and like, make sure it's like it makes sense for company and for us, and like, make sure like we can help out, and we will determine on the fee based on that, what we can like, estimate.
That's really interesting. I'm sure people get really excited when you tell them they have a good sized tax credit coming their way.
Yeah.
Everybody's always trying to pay less in taxes, huh?
Yes.
Well, I appreciate your time. If anyone wants to save on their taxes and get a tax credit, what's a good way to reach out to you?
Yes, you can visit my website, which is hitollc.com, and you can like go to contact page, and then you can like, you can book a time with us, or you can like email me at ytsuchida@hitollc.com.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. All right.
Appreciate your time. This will become a future episode of the journey to $100 million. Thanks so much.